Ndị Igbo ekene m unu. Asị m ka nke echukwelu ya zelu. Anyị si ndụ mmiri ndụ azụ. Mmiri atara m azụ anwụra. Asa dịrị mma na eke, dịrị mma na orie, fọzara mma na afọ, fọzara mma na nkwọ, ụzọ ahịa anọ nke ndị Igbo ji biri. Asị na ya dịrị n'Igbo na mma o. Ise, ise, ise. Dịka o si dị ka agbapụ na ya ọsọ igosi na ya bụ ife anyị ji maka ya wee bịa. Na tupu anyị aga n'igosi na ya bụ ife, ọ bụla nke a bụ ụbọchị izu gị. Ị na-ejete afọ channel aya n'Igbo akwụkwọ ka baro ka like and subscribe o. Tinyekwa kọmentị, share ekwe ya, tụsa ya bụ ozi ka ụmụnne anyị dị n'ebe dị iche iche wee na ya bụ ife na-eme n'obodo a. Dịka o si dị, ihe wetara unu tata bụ nnukwu update dị oke mkpa. Mma nchọ ka onye ọbụla misie ya. Mma nchọ ka ị ga ya bụ ife, ị ga-esi ya bụ ife wetara unu gbasa maka ya bụ ife na-eme n'obodo anyị nọ n'ime ya. And nwere ndị Igbo na-azọ drọpụra ya on comment n'ihe a nwanne anyị nwoke kwuru n'iru akwụkwọ dị oke mkpa ka anyị mara ife iche n'ụdị nke gị. All right, over to you, sir.
Yeah. The Patriot mentioned the issue of referendum and how the National Assembly will come into. That was a major legal debate. It does look like Nigeria has been heading for the last almost 20 years to a journey of nowhere.
Or you say journey to no destination.
Let's look at it. What would you say, Prof, if you have the solution on your left hand to fix the problem? What would you identify as three major Nigeria problems?
The first one I will identify is lack of nationhood. Nigeria is a country still yearning for nationhood.
What does that mean?
What it means is that we are not united. We are still what Chief Obafemi Awolowo once called a piece of geographical expression. Ahmadu Bello once said it was a piece of historical mistake, because we were cobbled together on 1st January 2014 by Lord Lugard, the Southern and Northern Confederates, and the Lagos Colony, after Nigeria had been given her name by a young British author who wrote in the London Financial Times of 8th January 1897, calling it Nigeria, that Niger area. That is first major problem. In other words, we were cobbled together through the direct and indirect rule system that we were operating, with all of us already enjoying our independence. The Benin Empire, the Oyo Empire, the Kanem Bonu Empire, the ancient Ife. We were already independent, having our own systems of government, and we were happy. Jaja Fopobu, Nana Ofichekire, Oba of Beramino Baise of Benin, who beat the British back with bare knuckles, for which he was deported to Calabar, where he lived and died 27 years later. So such people that were already used to their independence and ways of life, to put them together and say they cannot now discuss their future.
Is it the reason for the agitation we see in Nigeria? This idea of lack of nationhood.
In fact, it is the beginning and the end of it. I can assure you that you were talking about three problems. I identified that one major problem. If you don't have nationhood and nobody believes in Nigeria as a country, if I ask you, Shew, where are you from? You won't say I'm in Nigeria. You first quickly mention your village and then your state. Then you are filling a form. After asking you for your name, the next question is place of origin. You put it town, they say local government. You put it, they say state. You put it, then they say religion. You are already being typified. You are already being profiled to know whether what we want here can come to you or not come to you.
But how do we resolve this? Because either we like it, you are an Ozekhomes.
Yeah.
You have your origin.
Yes.
You are of the Edo origin.
Yes.
And if you want to drill down, you can tell who your forefathers are.
Yeah.
I am on Okimbaloye, and I can also tell who my forefathers are. Yeah. But can we take away the fact that we are different tongues? Our tongues differ.
No.
And our presidents who have constituted conferences, at least two of the presidents have said, you can have every conversation, but the unity of Nigeria is non-negotiable. The former President Goodluck Jonathan said as much. In those kind of conversations, the fear of the disintegration and some people wanting to exit the nation might start, don't you think?
Now, I tell you, Sheon, I am not saying every Nigerian should now be the same person. In fact, I've always argued, and I'm on record to say that of Professor Onigu Otite's 374 ethnic groups in Nigeria, through his demographic survey, he was a great sociologist that speaks over 380 languages. Each of them must have a place and be respected in where he comes from. But when you want to roughing it over others, for example, like former President Buhari calling a whole ethnic group, one of the 3 largest ethnic groups, the Igbos, Southeast, as a dot in the cycle. What will you call me? A minority within a minority from Ijukwe, near Agenebode, Isako, East Local Government Area of Edo State. What are you going to call me? But in America, for example, they first ask you, what's your name? You tell them. They say, where are you from? We ask you, what do you mean? You mean where I work? Or where I schooled? Or where I live now? Or where I was born? Because each of them would have been different. But they regard themselves as Americans. So they have what you call faith in their country. We do not have faith in our country.
How do we do that?
And that is why when you go around on a Sunday, tomorrow is Sunday, today is Sunday. If you are go around, you will see different town unions. Where will you see a Nigerian union holding a meeting? So it's like the Bible. It says, seek ye first the kingdom of God and his righteousness, and all things shall be added. If we get it right constitutionally, because the present foundations are fundamentally damaged, they are damaged. I give you an example, Sheon. If you have a house that the walls are cracking, how do you repair the walls? Do you go to the walls? You take a hammer, you begin to chisel it with a chisel, right? Then you get cement, mortar. You call it bricklayer and say, help me patch this wall. He patches it. In 1 or 2 months' time, more chaos, more gullies, more cracks appear on the wall. You have to look for the cause of that wall. You discover that there's a big tree in your compound whose trees have sprouted. They have become so big that they have gone towards the foundation of the house, and is what is actually threatening it to fall. What do you do to that tree? You don't go to the tree and cut off the branches, because the branches will grow anyway again, and the walls will continue to crack. You go to the tree,
to the roots,
uproot it.
So this solution,
root and branches.
The solution, the proposition of the Patriot is getting to the root of Nigeria's problem.
Getting to the root of Nigeria's problem.
So three representation of every ethnic group.
That's what the Patriot said.
So based on the sociology's recommendation, so we'll be talking about
roughly 100. But the Patriots have looked at it again after further discussion that, look, we have suggested 3 representation elected on non-party basis. By the way, there are 3 modes of throwing up people to represent you: election, selection, or sortition. What do you call sortition? By lot. Now, the Patriots suggest 3 from each each state. But we have looked at it again that the ethnic nationalities in Nigeria must be represented to own a people's constitution, so that no person can say he was marginalized. And that is why the Patriots told the president that he needs to look seriously at the 2014
Confab.
Confab. The reason is that there were 492 members representing every aspect of the Nigerian society. Elder statesmen and women, the youth, students,
the market people,
the market women and men,
manufacturers,
the physically disabled, the manufacturers, the private
lawyers,
sector, the police, the military, professional groups, the traditional institution, the civil society. We were all there, lecturers, judges. They threw them all from different organizations, had different ways of throwing up their own representatives. Like the students, they had to go for their own election. The NGOs, they threw up their own. So everybody that came to Abuja here for those 6 months was a representative of certain people, right? But the federal government then looked at it from a critical angle. For example, I was thrown up to represent my people in Edo State. But somehow, by Professor Pella's abracadabra magic, my name vanished from the scene. And when the matter got to the then president, whom, by the way, I had never met as a president when he was in office, as president or vice president or acting president, I never met him. People do not know. Google me and see my acerbic criticism of his government, as I did Buhari, as I am doing now. He said, why is his name not there? Put his name as a federal government delegate addendum. That is why tomorrow, when I'm going out, I hear somebody say addendum. I know that the person must have been at the 2014 confab, right? So the government nominated some few people. That was all. But and we made over 600 recommendations, which if the Buhari government had looked at, or the present government looks at, as we told Mr. President, we are not saying that all Nigerians' problems will evaporate in one day. But you would have tackled them headlong. Do you understand me? And I try to, some of us who are nation builders, I'm not a politician. I regard myself as a nation builder, a human rights activist, a pro-democracy campaigner. I sit down to think and bellyache about the problems of Nigeria. Do you know, Sheon, that as far back as 1986, I had taken the then President Ibrahim Badamasi Babangida at the Armed Forces Ruling Council, AFRC, at the Attorney General to court against removal of petroleum subsidy. The judgment was December 29, 1987, by Justice Agoro. Just Google National Concord, Michael Ozekhomes, Babangida. 37 years ago, this oil subsidy we are still fighting over today. Because my argument was that you cannot be made to pay for a product that you are having, like other people do not have it. What late Professor Cloud Ake would describe as a disarticulate economy, where you produce what you don't consume and consume what you don't produce. That thing I saw 37 years ago is what we are still fighting over today. And guess what again? I was the first proponent that June 12th should be a democracy day and not May 29, which is a mere handover. I fought this over the years. Later in 2018, General Muhammadu Buhari as president made June 12th the democracy day. The same way at the 2014 National Conference, I moved a motion that Nigeria should go back to the first national anthem, the original anthem.
Although a lot of people disagree with it.
Yes, a lot of people have disagreed, but the entire 492 members, one of the few instances in which there was mass consensus, they brought that motion and we all stood up instantaneously and sang Nigeria, we hate thee. I wrote a book
Chief Ozekhomes,
by that title, Nigeria, we hate
thee. In all of this, you've mentioned one major issue that is of paramount importance if we need to reform this country and if we need to go forward, which is the question of national unity. But we'll take a break. When we return, I'd like you to also explain how this will benefit the Nigerian poor, because a lot of them, when you say constitution, they will ask you who constitution helps, because what matters to them is the food on their table and the money in their pocket and how they will feed. And I'd like you to explain the nitty-gritty of how a reformation of the constitution or a birth of a new constitution will help Nigerians, especially the average person. But of course, the issue of legality.
Yeah.
The Patriot mentioned the issue of referendum and how the National Assembly will come into. That was a major legal debate.
Yes, after we had a colloquium in March this year, very big colloquium attended by president governors, past governors, president senators, House of Reps, past ones, members of the diplomatic or captains of industry, the civil society. Most humbly, I presented the paper, the lead paper, the keynote address. The Patriots came to the conclusion that Nigeria was on the precipice, on a dangerous precipice. And we cannot continue to pretend. You have a sore, then you bandage it and put sweet-smelling Sasarobia or Herman or Hugo Boss perfume, and you pretend that the sore is not there. It's there. So they saw the clear and present danger of Nigeria losing it.
In what sense?
In the sense that Nigeria is a pluralistic society. Pluralistic societies are governed by constitutions that take into consideration the peculiarity of the people, usually through federal constitutions, not the type of unitary system we are operating. The Patriots gave the example of Canada, India, and Switzerland. Pluralistic societies that have their constitution subjected to the people in a referendum, and they are united. The Patriots gave the example of Yugoslavia, which was under former Tito. They are broke up into 7 countries, independent states. The Patriots gave the example of Czechoslovakia. After living together for 100 years, they broke up into Czech and Slovakia. Coming home, we gave the example of Sudan here. They had lived together for 3,000 years. Few years ago, they broke up into Sudan and Southern Sudan, and the wars have not ended. The Patriots therefore felt that there is the need, the urgency of yesterday, for Mr. President now to introduce a president's executive bill to the National Assembly. The fear of the National Assembly has always been that they are trying to be sidelined. No. Although the present constitution being militarily imposed as a schedule attached to Decree number 24 of 1999 is not a people's constitution, lying in its preamble that we, the people of Nigeria, made it when it was never subjected to a referendum or plebiscite.
But we
still know that it is still the constitution we are using.
There are constitutional legal minds that have also argued that when we say it's not the people's constitution, that non-Nigerians did not draft that constitution.
When they drafted it,
that is and you know eminent lawyers who came out together to help draft that
was it subjected to any referendum in
there
this
are those
country?
who also say that which countries of the world do you have every person of the country input in their constitution?
I will give examples during this program. Their inputs are usually through a referendum, a plebiscite. It was done by the Old Midwest region on the 10th of August, 1963, for them to break away from Western region to become the 4th region in Nigeria. Now, coming to that issue, you must have the National Assembly participating because they are in place. Their job is that they can only amend a constitution under Section 9. A National Assembly cannot make a new constitution. It is the constitution that makes a National Assembly because the tail cannot wag the dog. But the National Assembly under Section 4 and various sections of the Constitution have the powers to make laws for the peace, order, and good government of Nigeria. And one of the laws that the Patriots advised Mr. President to do, an executive bill, is to say, make a law convoking a constituent assembly. You can also call it constitutional assembly, constitutional congress, or constituent congress. It has many names. Make a law convening it. Then allow people to be elected on non-political partisan basis, while allowing the ethnic nationalities to be there thrown up by their people. This constituent assembly will now take.
And by ekenekwe ni mono dịka unu si wepụta oge unu igekwa ya bụ ife nnukwu ozi dị oke mkpa eji maka ya wee bịa n'iru akwụkwọ na Igbo midia bụ ebe anyị si wee na-wetara unu ya bụ nnukwu ozi dị oke mkpa gbasịta maka ihe na-eme n'obodo anyị nọ n'ime ya, ana gbasịta maka nwere onwe ndị Igbo na-azọ, ana gbasịta maka Maazị Nnamdi Kanu Ladies. Dịka ị nụrụ ihe nwanne anyị wegekwu n'iru akwụkwọ ka efi were ikwu n'udo nke gị asị gị kwuo ka efi were ikwu maka na otu aka o jedebe njọ ọ ya adịkwanụ mma. Ọgwụ na ọtụ ụmụnne m, achọrọ m ka unu tinyere anyị alụ nke unu ife unu chere n'iru akwụkwọ ikwucha ya bụ ife kapa arụsị ya kwurụta ụmụnne anyị ndị ọzọ ntị darụrụ nne na ụmụnne m kpọmọ na-ege ntị. Anyị na-ekene ndị nnekunu si na-esoyere anyị esiri ngwa nke mesịa n'ụmụ Igbo.